Welcome to Mastering Agility. If you want to listen to authentic conversations with the most inspiring guests, find like-minded people in the Mastering Agility Discord community, or both online and face-to-face events, this is the platform for you. Grab a drink, sit back, and join professional Scrum trainers Sander Dorr, Jim Sammons, and their guests in an all-new episode.
Dana, what's going on? How are you doing?
Hey there. I'm good. How about you guys?
Doing well.
I'm always good. I'm happy to see we're here to talk about one of these episodes in build up to the Online Scrum Master Summit, where you're one of the speakers. What made you want to speak at the Online Scrum Master Summit?
Well, I have joined the agile world not so long ago, but I really believe in the power of community, and events like Scrum Master Summit is basically a great example how you can learn from the others, or at some point start sharing. And I've been joining conferences myself quite a lot. And was one of my, one of those things on my bucket list, that just to join as a speaker at some point. And apparently this year is the year to go. So super excited.
What are you talking about?
Talking about my two greatest passions and how I combine them and learn from each other in those. And that's agile, guiding software teams, and doing triathlon. So half part of my life, I am a Scrum Master, a team lead, and another half, and then just a triathlete.
Do those two really overlap? Like, what's the similarity between them, if any?
Very good question. Because basically agile is all about collaboration, teamwork, and being together with the others. And most can think that triathlon is the individual sport. But to be honest, the core similarity between those two for me is actually inspection and adaptation. It's very complex, both things, building software or preparing for this insane race of, what is it? The one I did was a half only. The full one is still actually on my roadmap. Think about that. You have so many different things you have to take into consideration, and usually preparation for a race takes around 4 or 5 months, depends on your fitness level. So I clearly see similarities: complexity, different stakeholders, how you manage them, focus, agility, and inspection and adaptation.
It's interesting that you mentioned like it's going to take 4 or 5 months, because if that's the range that I'm going to give to my stakeholders, saying when is my stuff done? 5 months. They're going to be back in 5 months to say, where is my stuff now? If I'm not going to be ready in 5 months to do a triathlon, what would you advise me?
Like with triathlon, it's very straightforward. So you have a very clear deadline. The scope and the deadline are basically there. So you sign up for a race. Usually you do this actually a year in advance, because most of the races are sold out very fast. And then it's up to you when you start to prepare. That you can change. It's up to you how you prepare. There are different methods. You can just find some program online, or you can have a personal coach who will help building you that. But eventually, that you have to do this project, right? You have to swim for 1.9 kilometers, you have to cycle for 90 kilometers, and you have to run for 21 kilometers. And there is a very clear cutoff time. If I'm not mistaken, for half Ironman, it's actually 8 hours. So you have to do this. If you want that medal, if you want to have this project done, you have to accomplish that. And then there is like this space to wiggle. How fast do you want to go? And how much effort do you want to put in your training? So you are your own stakeholder in that sense. It's your own medal. It's your own goal. And for me personally, I see this whole Ironman thing as a goal, my Northern Star, the finish line and the red carpet, all this flair. This is my product goal. And then how I achieve it in small increments, it's up to me.
So one of the things I hear all the time, less now, but I used to hear it a lot, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, was tools don't make you agile. So as someone who's had some people in their very near physical vicinity prepare for, marathons and Ironman races, What do you think is the relationship between tools and your goals that you just said? Like, can I just go to Walmart and buy a cheap bike and just any old pair of thrift store running shoes and just hit that 8 hour mark you're mentioning?
Yes, you can. However, it depends. It depends. The ultimate answer for all questions. So, can you actually do this? Yeah, sure, no problems. I think you can also, work on software project with Excel sheet. Is it going to be fun? Mm-mm. I don't think so. Yeah, to be fair, the more you invest in your tools, in your equipment during the Ironman, the more comfortable your race will be. That's for sure. Like I started small with triathlon. I decided to actually make the MVP and to try first to do like short distance races, like quarters or halves. Quarters or 1/8. And I did it like bike. Bike is the biggest expense, the tool which really, carries you through the biggest part of your race. And in the beginning, I decided, okay, I'm just gonna try it out, and I bought like a basic 1,000 euros bike, aluminium, nothing fancy, just a decent bike that you can cycle on. But I'll be honest with you, it's impossible to cycle on that bike for more than 50 kilometers without actual pain. It hurts you physically. And the moment I decided that I want to scale up and do a half distance race, I invested in a very good, proper aero bike with bars, so I can go well faster, but also with more comfort. So tools do help you, but there is like a bar after which it doesn't matter. You can of course keep throwing money into your tools, and yes, you will get faster. You will probably be more comfortable, but at the end, it's also you, your body, and your training who powers this whole machinery and this all tools. So upgraded tools, upgraded equipment should go hand in hand with upgraded, training program and technique, and also I don't know, food, workouts. If you really want to achieve the best results.
So mindset is still more important than using the tools that you have. Like having proper JIRA setup does not make you a proper product manager.
No, absolutely not. Proper Jira will help you, will help you with your goal. It will basically make the whole delivery process smoother, but at the end, it's not a guarantee for a successful project.
Which is a wild statement. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing in Dana's answer is that tools can become a limiting factor. And because I would suspect that if there could be a very real limit, like to your point, like you just literally are in pain and can't go any further. But then there's also, if you're even remotely in pain because your tools are limiting, you're going to be demotivated. You're going to be hurt. You may not want to do that. So it could affect your mindset. It could affect your practice. It could make your recovery time longer. And I mean, this is what I see in the workplace is tools have to match the needs or maybe even be one step ahead of where you're at. But if I said, hey, because of my chat with Dana, I wanted to do this, and I go out, I buy a $6,000 custom Quintana Roo in carbon fiber, that may be stupid too, because that alone is probably a lot of money, and I'm probably not ready for it. Would you agree, Dana? What do you think?
Yes, I do agree. Absolutely. It makes you really have to understand what is the goal that you are trying to achieve. And it doesn't make sense to go, over the top. So I do plan to do a full distance Ironman. And in order to go to that race, to actually feel comfortable and be more efficient, I do plan to buy another bike, even more expensive.
Yeah.
It sounds the same stuff like my podcast setup. Like I continuously buy new stuff over and over just because it's fun. Because it almost feels like it's actually contributing to improvement while it's actually not necessarily. But mentally, it gives you this edge.
It does.
I really wanted to add to what you are saying, Sander, because indeed, the good tools and good equipment actually has this mental effect. So you really are excited about parading your amazing bike and about like I always race in very colorful outfits. Like it should be super girly, pink, purple, like mint green. I really like it because, there are very few females in triathlon. I guess the ratio is like 20-80 females, males. So if like in my day-to-day life, I try to wear black and like some neutral colors, neutral outfits. Excuse me. Once doing triathlon, it should be full in girly.
Is that like your alter ego?
Yeah, a little bit.
And I think what Sunder's mentioning about the gear is important because when we travel, we have to think, if they lose my bag, what is the minimum amount of gear I need to go teach that class, do this workshop, or record this episode? But I also am hearing that having better and better tools may inspire you to change your mindset and want to maximize those and want to encourage yourself to take advantage of that investment you've made. And I feel that all the time. Like there's a lot of things that I bought that I don't use, but then there's a lot of things that I've bought that when I use them, I enjoy doing the thing better, and it makes me want to do the thing better to kind of probably at least a little bit justify my investment, but also because it genuinely makes the experience more enjoyable. Like, well, I don't know if either of you watch YouTube, but whenever they do all these ultimate desk configs or whatever, I always just laugh because it does not look like my desk. Like these look like a museum of desks with beautiful monitored and hand rub walnut. And I'm like, do y'all ever do any work?
No.
And I know that's for the content, right?
No. They don't do shit. Like that's just for the show. It's like having that 15,000 euro bike,
right?
That is just there for the show, which does the exact same thing as a $2,000 bike.
That's not true, but the point is taken.
What would you say is the difference between a $50,000 bike compared to a $2,000 one? Like, does it actually help you improve apart from mentally?
Yes, it does. So it's lighter. It's probably more aerodynamic, and So basically, in order to go fast on a bike, you have to put watts, right? That's the power. And if you have a very well configured, fitted bike, a carbon bike with this aerodynamics, bars, if you know what I mean. So you sit like this on your bike. Apparently, you have to spend less power with your body with pedaling in order to reach the same speed. And the difference is quite big. So putting money in the bike does make sense if you want to go faster.
So what's the connection to Scrum and your software teams to that concept of expending less effort to get to either the same outcome or get to the outcome faster?
I think something what comes to my mind at first is basically automation. Whatever can be automated, and make sure that your developers, engineers, they can actually spend time on fun work, on creative work, something that really brings impact. So, for example, currently I'm working for an agency, and we are working on projects for customers. So we have multiple customers, and everything is done via JIRA. Our favorite tool, of course. But as an agency, you basically bill your client based on hour. And we have to track these hours. And everyone hates tracking hours, for God's sake. It's like the worst, but hey, it's a business model, so it's a choice. And what the company did, a company is called Wolfpack. So what the Wolfpack did in order to make the developer their experience better, they actually created a special JIRA plugin, which tracks the hours and sends them to the internal billing tool automatically. So as a developer, whenever you pick up a JIRA ticket, you just press the button, track, and the hours are being tracked and sent automatically to a proper bill, and it's submitted to the customer without any interaction with humans.
Nice.
It took some investments from the company's side to build this plugin, but hey, it works brilliant and it saves time and sanity for developers.
Both Jim and I are experienced consultants and trainers. Therefore, we know how important it is for organizations to have the fundamentals in place before delivering high value products. And this starts with understanding the theory behind whatever framework, method, or process organizations apply. And this is where Zebia comes in. Zebia is a pioneering software engineering and IT consultancy company, transforming and executing at the intersection of domain and technology to create digital leaders for our people, clients, partners, and communities. As a gift for our Mastering Agility audience, they provided us with a discount code MA10 when signing up for their open enrollment classes to get 10% off. Go to zebia.com/academy to find the entire curriculum of courses. That is Zebia, XEBIA.com/academy to find all their courses.
Well, just for the record, I'm hashtag not, JIRA is not the best tool for me. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. I totally relate to the connection of tooling and automation as a way to maximize your watts, maybe.
Right.
I used to do a rowing machine, an erg, and it tracked watts as well. And it was really interesting to me how even a very small body position change over an hour could drastically change my output, right? Like, whether it's your back position or where you pull to the center of your chest versus low versus high, and you can feel it in different parts of your body. So I've got to assume there's a coaching connection to triathlons and Scrum, right? Like, without giving it away for the conference, is there any realizations you've had about coaching?
Like, the biggest realization I have had so far is how important focus is. So there are a lot of distractions or a lot of others. Well, in triathlon, you have 3 disciplines, all in all, right? So you have to juggle 3 different sports at the same time. And it's goddamn difficult. The same applies for software development. There are so many things you have to juggle, or for example, at Wolfpack, different clients. And like, you're sitting there, the sprint planning, and you want to come up with a sprint goal. But you can't, because there are 3 different projects and every project has a sprint goal. But still, there has to be one most important thing that you have to deliver. And for triathlon, it goes the same. So I have this, currently I have a personal coach, and he's making a personalized training plan for me. And I have blocks. So those are my quarters, if you want. Each block consists of 4 weeks, usually. There are exceptions. And there are different phases in each block. So there is a building up phase, there is actually the peak phase, and then there is a recovery phase. It kind of also reminds me of a sprint, right? How you do this. So these blocks, they are divided into individual workouts that are also having like specific purpose. There are different types. There are endurance workouts when you just put low power, but you go for a very long time. Or there are intervals. They are shorter, but then very high intensity. And those are my increments. In order to go to my goal of reaching this finish line, I have to deliver this tiny different increments. And I should be consistent with doing that. I should also inspect and adapt, because sometimes you get sick, or sometimes your body just, you have a flu and then you are fucked for a week. And then the whole block basically goes away. So you have to really inspect and see how can you adapt, this less time to this deadline, which is approaching. So, you have to focus on one thing at a time, and not to really, change your focus continuously. First build up, your running, or then start ramping up with your cycling. Swimming is a tough one. Swimming is usually being a point of my focus in winter, when you cannot run or cycle so long outside. So it's also a bit of planning. You do swimming block in winter in order to focus on your running and cycling outdoor in spring. And then in June, you're ready to go, because body remembers. And this focus, I kind of translate also to my teams. I really try to preach to them that goal is really important. There is one important thing that you have to achieve, and you always have to think about it. Um, um, Product goal is really like this vision that we want to achieve. And whatever we do, each increment we deliver, every sprint, it has to be towards this sprint goal, towards this product goal, towards this greater goods, the red carpet. Um, doesn't always work, but they do grasp the context because, of course, it's very visual if you describe it as a finish line or as a North Star. And yeah, it's easier to say no because you do have to say no to all these little things if you want to achieve the big one. Like with triathlon, you have to say no to alcohol, to parties, to going out with your friends. Um, but yeah, then you get a medal and it's fun.
So you're maximizing that not done. That sounds like something I read somewhere. Like,
Sorry, what?
because well, yeah, I mean, you're to focus on your goal, you're having to eliminate other things that are either going to destroy your focus or hurt your training. And when I watched my coworker train for an Ironman, what I was struck by is how he innately knew how to run, bike, and swim. But within 2 months, he had a running coach, a swimming coach, a cycling coach, and an overall coach.
Okay.
It was a lot like the old Karate Kid movie, right? Like those people were the Mr. Miyagi for him, but an outsider could be like, you really need somebody to tell you how to run? Like, you just go run. But it's all about, it's kind of like the tooling thing you were saying earlier is he knew how to run, but in some ways he had to totally learn to run differently because the pose was different. The shoes were different. The equipment was different. The training and
placement of your foot, like how you roll off.
Right.
Like the length of your strides, etc., etc. Like there's so much more to it than, no, just start running.
Right. And, like we all know how to fall. I'm sure that all three of us have fallen, but a martial artist knows how to fall safely better. They know how to turn that fall into a defensive thing, right? Like, so I think a lot of people will be like, oh, Jim and Dan, like, of course you're helping your teams focus on testing or focus on goals, but like, we all just know how to do that. Like just yesterday, I had a conversation with an engineering manager. And they were like, well, our people know how to do that. They know how to run a meeting. They know how to do that. And I'm like, well, cool. They do. How's that going? Wow. They can get better. Okay. Well, who's going to inspire them to get better? Who's going to motivate them to get better? Who's going to show them what better could look like? What's the cost of them doing it? Like if they focus their effort on getting better at running their own meetings, what are they not doing for you? Oh, maybe it's things like testing or automation or I don't know, researching how to implement AI in their tool. It may sound like I'm a coaching apologist, but that's not the case. I just find that in certain areas, it's just expected. You want to go do this thing, you get a coach or you get help or you get a consultant or you're burned out, you go get mental help. But there's so many times where it's like, well, you're an engineer, they're super smart. So of course they can just do all that crap for themselves. And I just find that to be very short-sighted.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's almost like the expectation that even because they are hired, because they're smart at what they do, they know everything. And that's because you do a triathlon. As you do everything that has to do with a triathlon. So you know exactly how to do every single detail of it. And there's no way to improve it. Like that's an expectation that we see a lot. Is that something that you experience either in Scrum, product management, or in triathlon?
I will probably talk about triathlon because do have a good example. So I did my first half distance last year, and as I said, I was doing it from the program which I found online. So it was not customized; it was just default, and just said like, yeah, follow this. Eventually, you will get there. Of course, I was taking it with a pinch of salt and listening to my body and trying because, well, I thought, okay, I'm an experienced runner. I know how these things are done. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. And yes, it was fine. I mean, I did manage to finish it in the top 20% of females, which is very good
Well done.
for the first time. Yeah. But I was spending effectively 13 hours a week for training. And by the end of my journey, I was just exhausted, both physically and mentally. I really clearly remember my last rides when I was hallucinating on the bike, basically being afraid just to be hit by the car. It was very mental. And My next half distance race is actually the end of June in Denmark. But this time I have a coach who does make a program for me, who also is happy to answer my WhatsApp messages pretty much any time of the day when I am not feeling well, or when I am just, I don't know, mentally struggling, because there is a lot of mental things. And I do see huge progress I'm doing right now in comparison to the previous year, with only on average 6, 7, 8 hours of working out a week. It's a huge difference. So he helps me to be more effective with less time. I'm curious what will be the outcome of the race, because that's at the end of the benchmark. But I had a very good benchmark in March when I did half marathon last year and this year. And the difference on a half marathon distance for me was 8 minutes, which is a lot.
That's a lot. And this, I
Yeah.
think this is a really good example of why Scrum Masters should always be present. And you see these mass layoffs of Scrum Masters at many organizations. They're like, yeah, we don't really need Scrum Masters anymore. They know what to do, blah, blah, blah. Well, you don't. To a certain degree, you do, but
Remove the Scrum Master and see what will happen.
exactly. You need really good Scrum Masters. I'm not saying like your average, like anyone who has a PSM1 or a CSM or whatever. Like, no, you need proper Scrum Masters. And that's where, for instance, one of the sponsors of this podcast, this is not a plug for them specifically, but this is what they do is they filter out those people who are really good at their job, who really know well how to coach, how to train people, how to do their stuff. Like, you would not work with any average like Fiverr triathlon coach, right? You would pick someone who knows their stuff, who would know exactly how to do that stuff and how to inspire you. You have a click with them, I'm assuming.
Certainly.
Sandra, you're reminding me of something I asked you not too long ago, and there's probably a connection here. Is like, and Dana, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, if you were going to go hire a coach to improve your swimming, would you Google them or do some amount of research to say, why are they capable of coaching me in swimming?
I would definitely like to check the person online. But to be fair, here, is the moment when the community magic happens. And then you kind of use recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
That's
using the wisdom of crowds there, right? So,
correct.
but somebody, I guess the assumption is somebody's vetted this person, but because the conversation he and I were having was, I feel like anybody with a microphone is a content creator now. Anybody with a keyboard is a influencer on LinkedIn, and there's got to be some amount of credibility check to say, it doesn't mean you've got to prove it to me. It doesn't mean you've got to have like a master's degree in swimming or that you've got to be a former D1 athlete. But if I hire a swimming coach, even on a recommendation from someone like you, and they show up and they can't even fit in trunks and they're not even getting in the water, I'm going to be really skeptical of that, because like Sunder said, good Scrum Masters, if you remove them, you should see a marked decrease in something, at least, maybe not immediately, but soon. And if you don't, maybe they weren't that good. I think it just goes back to credibility, right? Like I'm very cynical and skeptical these days of,
I don't know you any differently.
yeah. And my advice to any Scrum Master anywhere is you have to be able to show your impact somehow. And there are very artful ways of doing that without coming across selfish or narcissistic or whatever. But if everything you do is beneath the surface of the water, we shouldn't be surprised when people are like, I don't know what value you add.
Correct. And this brings me back, before we start wrapping up, this brings me back to a conversation that I've been having over and over with some people. Like, I'm one of the least technically savvy people that you would know. Like, I don't know code. I've done my fair share of coding during my studies, which is like a lifetime ago. But I don't know how to write code. And then I get questions like, how do you know how to write or to coach people, blah, 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 blah. I don't need to be able to write code to see their potential. It's the same with Mike Tyson's trainer, who wasn't a boxer. Like, he could coach Mike Tyson to beyond greatness, but he was not a boxer himself. right? So there's a difference between those two. So do you really need to have that track record of doing the same job that you're trying to coach people on? I don't know. As long as you can be empathetic into moving yourself into their position, right? Now, this would be a whole episode in itself, so I kind of want to leave it there. Dana, I want to get back to you and your topic. Why should people join your session at the Online Scrum Master Summit?
Yeah, good question. I believe so. In my session, I'm gonna give 5 tips how to actually inspire your team and how to make them reach the goal, the red carpet, the finish line, whatever you want to call it. And it's actually quite a common theme, right? To compare your Scrum Mastery stuff to something that you are passionate about. And I turned out to be passionate really about these 2 things, and I found similarities. So if people are into that, to learn more about combining their hobbies and what they are doing for work as Scrum Masters and as agile leads, I think this talk can be interesting for them and maybe slightly inspirational.
Slightly. I think it's going to be massively inspiring, because what I see with you is that the passion that you have for triathlon also like kind of drizzles into your work life. Like, this is something that you're passionate about. The job that you do is something that you really enjoy, that brings you energy. And I think that is something that too few people really think about and discuss. What is it that makes me happy? What do I get out of this? And that's for people who have been listening to the show more often. This is a topic that we've been discussing more over than not, actually. So I like that pitch into it. Like, what is it that makes you happy? And I think a lot of people can learn from that. So I would definitely recommend people to join your session and to figure out what your passion is and what they can learn from that.
Thanks, Sander. Well said.
You're most welcome. And thank you for joining us. And I wish you all the best at the Online Scrum Master Summit.
Thanks a bunch. Thanks for having me. See you around.
See you.
That is all for today. Thank you for listening. If you liked this episode, let us know by hitting that like button. Share it with friends and colleagues, sharing a message on LinkedIn, joining our warm and welcoming Discord community, or attend recordings as a virtual audience. You can find all the relevant links in the show notes. We hope you'll tune back in for the next episode of the Mastering Agility podcast.